Well, look, I want to show some support for the UAW workers out here on strike. I think, their message is pretty simple, and I hear it loud and clear, which is, look, 10 years ago, the auto industry was in a state of crisis. We took it on the chin. We accepted lower wages so the industry could prosper. Now that the industry is prospering, it's fair for us to share in some of the gain. And I think it's totally reasonable. I've heard from so many people out here who are struggling to get by, working 60, 70-hour weeks. That is not okay in this country. We need good jobs for good American workers. If you're working 60 hours a week, you ought to be able to afford a nice car. You ought to be able to afford a good life for your family. And if that's not happening, it's a failure of Washington. It's a failure all across the country. The thing that is best for me about being here, and obviously we're here to show support for these workers, but the thing that I learned most is just you hear a lot of different stories, right? I talked to a woman who moved from the Illinois facility that was closed about a year and a half ago. She's now working here, struggling to get by. I talked to a guy who's got 3 kids, which hits me pretty hard because I've got 3 young kids myself, worried about paying for baseball leagues for his kids. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're working 60, 70 hours a week, you shouldn't be worried about paying for baseball league for your kids. You should be able to afford that good life for your family. Talked to a number of workers who work in this facility but don't make enough wages they can actually buy the products they're producing. That's crazy to me. I was raised by a union steel worker who made enough to actually buy a good American car. I've talked to some folks who are worried that every time they dare to speak up at their own place of business, the company threatens to move their job to Mexico. Like, what the hell is wrong with our country that when workers actually make their voices heard, we should threaten that we're going to move their job to Mexico? It's disgraceful. Well, I think the thing that I can take most back to Washington, and we're, of course, talking to everybody who's involved in this dispute. We're talking to the workers, we're talking to the company, we're talking to the union, is just to be an advocate as much as possible for people here on the ground in Toledo. This is obviously an economically devastating thing. It's devastating for the workers. It's devastating for the broader community. And I think the message I can take back to Washington is, look, this thing can end. The auto industry is doing well. You just got to give the workers a fair shake.